This is part 2 in a series on how to build the Kenya top bar hive. We're using plans downloaded for free from biobees.com. In part 1 we built the top bars, and in part 2 we'll be building the follower board. Now the follower board and the top bar get glued and screwed together, and this will be the foundation for your top bar hive. What I have here is a solid pine panel. In fact, you buy these in the lumber department, but they're really made for shelves and making bookcases and home projects and so forth, and they're covered in plastic. What's neat about these is they're already 12 inches. This one is 12 by 48 inches. We can draw out our followers on here, cut them out. There's no gluing involved. The only place we'll use any glue is when we put the top bar on the follower board. So we're going to use this, makes it extra easy. We're going to measure one follower, and then we're going to cut that one and use that for a pattern for the rest of them. This board we can make 4 followers. Now he wants us to measure off the top 15 inches. So we'll measure out here 15 inches. We got 15 and 7.5. 7.5 inches is the middle. We'll put our square on here. We're going to drop us a line right down across the board. So there's the center. Now remember, on Bill's plans, at 11 inches, he has another mark. There's your 11 inches. We'll just tick that off, make a little mark. Now down here, we don't even really need the tape measure. We're just going to put 2.5 inches both sides of that tick mark. So the bottom of this will be 5 inches wide. We're going to have 2.5. We'll make a little mark at 5 inches and one at 0. Those 2 marks go from the corner of the board right across that mark. There's your first line. We don't care about this line. Your follower board's going to be too long. You got to cut it to fit later on. There's your other one. So now you've got your 2 lines. You can go ahead and cut it. Now that we have this marked, we're going to make this, we're going to write my mother's name on here, Pat. This is our pattern for all the rest of our follower boards. If we keep this one and one other one as our pattern, no matter how many hives we build, they're all going to be the same size. And all the followers and all of the hives, all the parts will be interchangeable. We're going to cut right along this line, cut along the other line, and we will have our follower board, first one all cut out. And it's real handy having that little battery operated saw to do it with. Alright, so here's our first one. We're going to kind of just clean the ends of this enough so we can draw on it, or draw with it. Use it like a ruler. There we go. We're going to make our other 3 based on this one. All we have to do, lay our pattern on here, line it up nice, take our pencil, make a nice mark, and we'll cut it. This is our other pattern. It takes 2 patterns that we want to save. So we got pattern on here. Now we have two. These two are going to be our foundation for all our hives. We're going to put these aside. We'll cut the other two based on pattern number 1. It's got the line on it so that everybody looks the same. Alright, now we got 4. This is scrap. We'll save this for a birdhouse or something. Now we got 4 followers. They all look pretty much alike. We're going to use the 2 that say pattern as our keep them forever follower boards. So I'm going to set these 2 aside, and we'll get glue and some screws and the drill and get ready to put these together. What we're going to do is essentially the same as clamping them without the clamps. So we have a top bar, and here's our follower board. Now your eyes will play tricks on you. You don't want to try to get this perfect by eye. So the first thing I do is I measure in from the end and get them centered that way. Here's another little trick to center it back and forth. Since you're not going to get it nice by eye, you simply put your pencil on there and move the follower until the pencil is the same distance on both sides. This is where you want to use your match marks. You make a line here, and this is helpful whether you're using the clamps or just doing it freehand, the way I'm going to show you how to do it. So you still have your match marks, and we do that on both ends. Now that we have our match marks, we can go ahead and glue this. And one way to do it is to glue all of your follower boards all at once, stand them up on the table, put a board on top, and weight them down. Leave them overnight to dry, and then you can add your screws the following day. Now we got them all lined up the way we want. Here's our old piece of scrap from when we cut our followers. Put a brick on there for weight. Now that we've let this sit overnight, it's all dried and set up nicely. We're going to go ahead and drill the holes in here and put in 2 screws. What I have is just a little countersink bit. You may as well drill all of your followers at the same time. Get them all done. Pretty simple. Just pick the middle of the top bar. Doesn't matter how deep, as long as it goes below the surface there a little bit. There's that one. That one. We'll replace our bit with a screwdriver tip and tighten those up. Good. And we're done. Now you have your follower boards all done, ready to go. And we can proceed to part 3. Part 3 is going to be using these follower boards we just created as a frame to build the hive.